This is Rana for On the Rant or Tay blog, coming to another edition of Movie Reviews and Observations number 44. For those keeping track, since the pandemic, barely have any movies, to getting from another library to not getting enough, followed by using streaming sites here and there, illegal streaming sites here and there, to finally the library having items available for pickup on the bookmobile. So I have my list that I made of DVDs that came out in 2020. Problem is, I'm running at that point where I don't know if I'm ever going to get all of them watched, because without the ability for me to request a bunch of movies through other libraries like partner libraries or anything in the state of Illinois, I don't know when I'm going to get certain movies. So the first movie I watched was an Icelandic movie called The White Day, where this widower is a cop, or retired cop. It's hard to tell exactly what's going on, and he finds out that his wife, before she died tragically, that she was cheating on him with somebody, that it was a student's parent, blah, 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 and his goal is to find out who it is and try to get him to confess, all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, I get it, but it's almost 2 hours, an hour 50-something minutes, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't need to be that long for it to be this movie, because we kind of like get the plot, we understand what's going on, we got to read subtitles, it's nice, Icelandic, nature and, cinematography, but it was okay. Not something that I'm going to sit through the whole entire thing. The actor did a good job. He is a good grandfather in the movie. But yeah, it was okay. Then I watched The Resistance Fighter, which they say is based off a true story. Now, The Library claims it's an action movie, but when it's based off a true story and it's a lot of talking and mediation and just running from one place to the other, I don't consider it to be an action movie. Yes, it's about this Polish James Bond type of guy who, when they're the world leaders of Poland or in England, but then there's the Russians coming and the Germans coming and they want to revolt, and you got to get a message back and forth, and he's on a mission, he's got to go through all this stuff, and you're saying, okay, so it's like an hour and 50 minutes also. You're like, okay, it's not bad. There's just a lot of lull, a lot of dialogue, a lot of talking, and the good thing was it was pretty much in English, except for when, the Nazi or the Russians are talking. But overall, it was an okay movie. A little bit too boring for some parts of it, but overall, it's a movie that you can watch and enjoy. Then I watched a movie where the library considers an action movie, but I consider it a horror film because there's gore, there's like disgusting stuff happening. You show all the killing and the blood. There's a lot of just disgusting parts in there, and you say, cool, Kevin James and Joel McHale. Before I show you what the movie is, it's got those. And Joel McHale plays a father who lost his wife to cancer, so it already starts off really depressing. Then what happens is he tries to have his daughter cheer her up by taking her to a camps, like the cabin they own. But then I've seen this in 4 Kids in It and like 3 or 4 other movies where, a parent who is a widow or divorced is dating somebody else who's single or their whole life, or they're a parent of divorce or widow, and they want the kids to meet each other and the kids to like them, and of course the girl doesn't like that. This woman trying to, of course, place her mother, but then it's confusing. They have a dog, she has a dog, and you're like, I don't really trust Joel McHale as a parent. It's not that I don't think in real life he's a parent, but all the characters ever played are not parental people. So I'm like, okay. And then you're like, ooh, Kevin James in there. But then you see he's bald with a beard. That's okay. But then he's got Nazi tattoos on his skull, his neck, his arms, and his legs. And he and a bunch of convicts break loose. And supposedly there's a key hitting to some sort of treasure in this cabin. Did he stash this years ago? Or, because it was the middle of nowhere and didn't think anybody would come or not, but it's called Becky. And I feel like it's a horror film because there are really gruesome scenes where when these convicts are trying to get the key and the girl's trying to protect herself, when she kills them, it is really bloody, gory, and disgusting. She stabs Kevin James in the eye, and then he tells one of his henchmen to pull it out, and he's trying to cut it out. It's this disgusting. I have to be looking at the screen exact point when that happened. So it's a horror film because she's just killing and killing and killing, and all these people are attacking. Yeah, you could say it's action, but it's not a lot of action. It's more of a lot of just disgust. And dogs are killed in the movie, and Joel McHale is barely in the movie because he dies. And the only solace is like 97 minutes, and then the gentle giant that works for Kevin James, like, I don't really want to kill kids or dogs, but then obviously he dies, and it's just like, you know how it's going to go. Either the girl dies, and it's sad that we made a movie about a girl dying, or she survives and kills everybody, or at least gets away, but it's not that good. Then I watched a movie called Everyday Miracles, and I'm saying to myself, okay, it was on the 2020 coming home videos list from Wikipedia, and it's got Gary Cole, and you're like, cool, Gary Cole out of mustache, that's interesting. Then you got Zoe Perry, who everybody knows is Laurie Metcalf's daughter, and Laurie Metcalf played Sheldon's mother in The Big Bang Theory. So in the prequel, young Sheldon, Laurie Metcalf's daughter, Zoe Perry, is playing her. So it's nice to see her in a movie that's not, or something that's not that project. And it's, an hour and a half, so it's not that long, and you're sitting there. But when you Google it, a bunch of things come up for Everyday Miracles. So it's a cliche Christian movie where, like, power of prayer and all this believes will help you get through stuff. And he's running away from his path because his mother's like a con woman when it comes to, prayers, that he can heal people. And he's trying to get away from his crazy mother and had an issue with his sister, yada, yada, yada. He's trying to get away. And his name is Cotton. So when I look it up, there's a bunch of movies called Everyday Miracles. But the one that I was watching was called Cotton. I'm like, okay, if it's called Cotton, realistically, then why the heck is it called Everyday Miracles in the box? Okay? And when I look at the box, it says 2020 Entertainment Corp. So it was supposed to be 2020. But supposedly, if you look at Wikipedia, it says 2020. When you check the official IMDb list and all the other Google searches, it said it came out in 2014. I'm like, why did I just waste my time watching a movie that was created in 2014? It's one thing if a movie comes out to DVD in 2020, but it was made in 17, 18, or 19. But, like, if this was only made in 2014, it was like, okay, why'd I waste my time? And it was just horrible. His mother's horrible. It's just cliche. Tries to woo Zoe Perry, and da-da-da-da-da. Gary Cole gives him another chance. It was okay, and the fact that it's an old movie, I don't know why I waste my time. Then the last physical copy that I have until the movies that I put on hold come in is The Wonderland. It's an anime movie, and you know what? Out of the 4 anime movies I've seen in the last couple of months, this is one of the good ones. It was like great animation, this whole other alternate dimension, and on the adventure to save it, and there's an alchemist, and there's like a helpers, and there's all different creatures and stuff, and it's a different world. And the only thing is, her aunt, I noticed the animation, but her aunt looks like she's like 21, and this girl's like 14 or 15, and they're going on this adventure to save the day. And even though it was like close to an hour and 50 minutes, there's like a bad guy, a good guy, you gotta try to save the day. It was nice. It was a nice movie to watch. It wasn't the best movie, but it wasn't a horrible anime like I've seen a few other ones this year. Then the final 2 movies that I watch, I can't like forward you because I'm filming it like this, is the movie Enter the Fat Dragon. It's a 2020 Hong Kong movie that's a martial arts film, but it's a comedy that stars Donnie Yen. And it's basically, they said it's the same name of the 70s film, which is also like a spoof of like a Bruce Lee movie. So what it is he knows, it's all about martial arts. So he knows a lot of martial arts. He's a cop, but supposedly every time he tries to save people, save the day, and as a cop, he causes more damage than harm until he gets demoted all the way down to working the evidence room. And through his actions, his ex-girlfriend, ex-fiance, who's this actress, she loses her stuff. She dumps him, so he's in the rut, and he's just sitting every single day in the evidence room until he gets fat. So they put him in a fat suit. And then his friend, who's got promotion, said, I need you to go do this in Japan. And if he does this, he may do better. So he may move up or get transferred, whatever. He goes there, and it's very cliche that his girlfriend is now working there in Japan, and it's for a bad guy, and it's the Yakuza, and he tries to meddle in, but then the Japanese police are turning a blind eye, and the movie is typical, like he's got to save the day from the Yakuza and his ex-girlfriend having to be there at the same time, using his, martial arts. He meets people, they become his friends, because they got to deal with the consequences of the gangs that are there and stuff. And you laugh. There's lots and lots of martial art. Even the young kids in the movie and the women in the movie know how to do martial arts. It's pretty, standard type of film, and it wasn't bad. It was just, after watching an Icelandic movie, which the only option was subtitles, I'm lucky that The Resistance Fighter was in English. I didn't have to watch it in another language. And then I watched Wonderland, where it automatically started off in Japanese, but I was able to do subtitles. I was like, you know what? Great, another one with subtitles. But it was okay. It wasn't that long of reading of subtitles. And those were all pretty good day, but it's pretty, simple what happens, in these cliche movies. Bad guy saved the girl. Then the last movie I watched, the one today, was also a streaming one, called Baba Yaga, The Terror of the Dark Forest. It's a Russian movie, and automatically they give you the option on the streaming site, which I was watching it from, the ability to just already be dubbed. It was not a subtitle. It was just, there you go. And it's very similar to this movie I watched weeks ago, where the guy visited his father who's divorced, and it's like takes place like in like maybe the 80s or 90s, whatever it is, and he finds out that this creature in the woods is taking children, and so his neighbors forget they have kids. His his new friend's sister goes missing, and you find out that his brother's missing and didn't realize he had a brother. So I'm like, okay, so this premise is this Russian kid's lost his mother tragically, and his father's remarried with another woman, and they have a baby together, and he doesn't consider her to be his mom. Blah 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 blah. There are bullies because their lives stink. He meets a girl, their friend, and what it is that the father hires a nanny despite the fact that his stepmother doesn't work. The baby goes missing, and they forget that the baby exists. They soon forget that he exists, which is very similar to the movie that I was talking about that I watched weeks ago, where people forgot their kids existed once they were taken by a witch. And it's supposedly some witch in the forest, and the other thing was in the forest too, and it's supposedly based off like a Russian, wise tale in this supernatural type of film. But it's very similar to an American movie I watched. Similar idea, and the boy's got to save his stepsister, and he tries to save other kids, blah 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 blah, and it was okay. It was not that bad. It was 90-something minutes, but the fact that I have seen movies that are very very similar to this idea, and again the idea that I just saw with the movie Becky, where a parent of divorce or death marries somebody new, and the kid doesn't like them. So overall, you could watch the horror film into horror films that was dubbed, so it's not subtitles for Russian for Baba Yaga, and to the Fat Dragon you want to watch because of action movies and comedy and martial arts, and it was pretty good even though it's in subtitles. Don't watch a White White Day because you basically understand the premise of the movie and you're almost there for an hour 50 plus minutes and in subtitles. Then Wonderland, you want to watch it in dub so you can understand what's going on. It's a beautiful world, kids would like it, not inappropriate. Everyday Miracles, don't watch it, it's an old movie, it was horrible, cliche, even though two of the actors are good. Becky's a horrible, disgusting horror film that Joel McHale had no business being in, and Kevin James playing a bad guy with Nazi tattoos and everything. And the Resistance Fighters just want to learn history. Thanks for listening to another edition of Movie Reviews Observation number 44. For the On Radar Entertainment blog, I'm Radar. See you guys next time.